Air Canada is an airline you either hate or hate. I've flown with them several times and they've always been really good at one thing: disappointing me. Jokes aside, not really. I've tried out all their cabins except for Signature Class, and they've all been a hit or miss. So let's see what Air Canada has to offer. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today you find me at Toronto Pearson International Airport. This is an exciting video because I've never flown Signature Class, which is what they call their business class, before. I've flown in their economy class cabin and premium economy cabin, but never had the chance to fly them in their business class cabin just because fares were too high or the award tickets were not reasonable either. We start our check-in at the premium section of Pearson, where there's a cornered off area for status holders and award ticket business class holders. Since I had a full fare cash business class ticket, I had access to the even more exclusive Signature Class check-in area that I had no idea about. This isn't a big deal since it wasn't like there was a huge line or a huge amount of rush that I would have greatly benefited out of it, but a clearer sign would have been nice. Either way, check-in and security was smooth thanks to an empty airport. I thought it'd be interesting to give some context behind this journey. I was heading to vacation with my family to Barcelona and Portugal. This meant I was flying into Barcelona via Frankfurt and then flying out of Lisbon. Due to personal reasons, I wasn't really sure whether I was going to make it or not, so I knew that my booking was going to be last minute. When I was booking my tickets, I was shocked to see how expensive economy class tickets were. Later, I realized that my flight from Toronto to Barcelona in business class was the same cost as my Lisbon to Toronto flight in economy. This helped me grab a good last minute business class fare, but a terrible return economy fare. This is one of the few times I paid for a business class ticket, so it was just surprising to learn how much of a gamble airline tickets can be sometimes. Either way, enough of me yapping, let's head to the lounge. This time we aren't just going to any lounge, but rather the best lounge Air Canada has to offer, the Air Canada Signature Class Lounge. You have to be on an international flight outside the Americas, you have to have a cash paid business class ticket or a flexible award ticket, and your flight needs to be marketed as a Signature Class flight. You don't even get access if you're on a partner airline after paying cash. Meeting these requirements can be very hard to come by. I know that I would only meet these requirements once, so I had to savor it as much as I could. As soon as you enter the lounge, it has a completely different vibe compared to the other lounges. Everything is just a little bit more upscale compared to the standard Maple Leaf Lounge. This had a similar vibe to the Maple Leaf Lounge, but was way more exclusive. As soon as I entered the lounge, my carry-on was put away for me and I was asked if I was interested in some lunch. I was saving myself for lunch, so I accepted and was seated on a table. This was quite the experience and set a great tone for the food that was coming up. I had a server come to me, admittedly a bit closed off, but asked me what I would like to drink and eat. I ordered a Gate 77 and the steak. I would have normally gone for a starter, but I was saving myself for the flight. Five minutes later, my drink arrived, with the steak coming in not long after. This tasted amazing. This was the level of food that you get in some 5-star restaurants. The sauce and the flavoring of the steak was quite impressive. Eventually, it was time for dessert. I could have ordered off the menu, but the buffet they had on offer looked quite impressive. I decided to go there to see what it's like and potentially pick something up. When I went there, the buffet looked okay, with some hot meals and cold cuts available. But understandably, if you want a full meal, then you're more than free to order something off the menu. I ended up picking the chocolate mousse from the buffet. This was great. It had a creamy texture to it, which I really liked. After lunch, I wanted to explore what little of the lounge I had left, and I was quite impressed. I suspect this lounge never gets too busy just because of the high barrier to entry, but this lounge was especially quiet today, with more staff than actual people in the lounge. The other interesting part in this lounge is that there's no lounge seating. It's all dining tables. I feel like there was a lot of dining tables and they could have exchanged it for some couch seating for people that didn't want to eat. Lastly, I didn't have much time to investigate, but to my knowledge, there weren't any showers. Funnily enough, I haven't been to the standard Maple Leaf Lounge, but I know for a fact that there are showers in there. But there are none in here. I could be wrong about the showers in the Signature Class Lounge, but you guys can let me know in the comments down below. Eventually, it was time to head for our 7-hour flight to Frankfurt. Just before we board this flight, I have a simple request: the subscribe button. It helps us out more than you know. Anyways, I wanted to get there early to get some shots of the plane, but then realized our gate was only going to show us a little glimpse of our aircraft. Our aircraft today is a 23-year-old A330 registered as Charlie Golf Hotel Kilo Romeo. I usually talk about seat configurations after boarding, but I'm feeling kinda fun. This A330 has been retrofitted with Air Canada's signature class suites with a business class, premium economy class, and economy class. This is pretty much what you can expect on most Air Canada wide-body planes. All business class passengers are in Zone 1 boarding, followed by premium economy and status holders in Zone 2, and then economy between Zone 3 and 5. When I enter most business class cabins, there's always something or the other that surprises me. Air Canada decided that they didn't want to be part of that. So my reaction was literally, oh, nice, another business class cabin. As soon as you reach your seat, you'll find the bedding and a pillow. There's no headrest on these flights, which was an interesting choice. My first thoughts when sitting on the seat was, wow, this is quite cozy. It wasn't uncomfortable by any means, but since the A330 is the smallest of the wide-body fleet, this is the worst international business class you can find on Air Canada. This doesn't mean it's a bad seat, it's just not the best seat Air Canada has to offer. I know this is a small thing on flights, but mood lighting makes a big difference, and I really like the mood lighting that Air Canada had. What was disappointing to see was that there was no individual events. I looked up expecting there to be some, but there weren't any. Stay tuned because this later becomes an issue on the flight. Let's start with the seater. The purser very kindly threw the amenity kit at me that we will get into later on the flight. We have headphones, a blanket and comforter, a pillow that was quite sufficient, seat controls with a massage function, storage cubby with a water bottle, international socket with USB A and C. We had a literature pocket with the safety card and a sickness bag. A reading light. We also have an iFi system right in front of us that we will explore later during the flight. You know when a friend gets you a really bad gifts and then you say it's the thought that counts? I think Air Canada works on the same logic. For welcome drinks, they brought out, I don't think you're ready for this, water. And that's not all. There's more. They brought out sparkling water as well. But wait, don't you already have water in the cubby when you sat on your seat? I did. But Air Canada loves hydrated passengers and dirty toilets. Jokes aside, the pre-departure drink was quite a joke. In 2024, where we have passengers being offered champagne as a welcome drink, Air Canada offers water and sparkling water. I declined to have both since I already have a water bottle. Soon enough, in the same fashion as the amenity kits, the menu was thrown out. I'd pre-ordered my meal but had a change of heart when the purser came around to confirm my meal. I'll save what I had for the meal later on in this flight, but was quite impressed and disappointed with the menu. I was impressed with the options for the mains. They all looked good, which is why I changed last minute. But at the same time, we had no choices when it came to appetizers. This is not the usual we see. We were soon pushing back 30 minutes behind scheduled time. Just as we taxied to the runway, I wanted to mention how much the crew couldn't care less. They were never rude to me throughout this flight, but it looked like they woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Apparently, all of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed, because none of them cared about introducing themselves or greeting you either. The only interaction I had with them was for the meal service, and they looked like they couldn't care at all. To their credit, I did fly on signature class from Toronto to Vancouver on their 777, and the crew on board that flight seemed to actually enjoy their job a lot more. Anyways, let's enjoy the views coming out of Toronto Pearson Airport. As I knew that dinner was soon approaching, I wanted to see what the IFE system was all about. I think Air Canada's IFE systems are one of the better ones. It was easy to navigate and had quite a few shows and movies on there. You were able to either control the screen through a remote or a touchscreen. You were able to add things to your list to view later on your flight as well. There's an interactive map to view exactly where you are. You have different views to watch at the angle that you'd like. Unfortunately, there were no cameras on this flight to view outside. Another thing I was disappointed by was the size of the screen. I'm not sure what the size of the screen is, but I can pretty confidently say that Emirates' new economy IFE system is bigger and better quality than this. Soon enough, the dinner cloth was not thrown, but placed, and we were going to soon start our meal service. Meal service started with a drink and nuts. I went for the Aperol Spritz. This was quite good. I don't have a lot of Aperol Spritz, so it tasted pretty solid for me. The presentation with the lemon was surprisingly very nice to see. Soon enough, the starters had arrived. This was a Mediterranean meze, and it was quite disappointing. As someone that's lived in the Middle East for a lot of my life and tried meze on those airlines, this was quite mediocre. This came with a side of green salad and garlic bread. It is also always nice to see when airlines provide branded cutlery. Next up for the mains was the tamari roasted sable fish. Fish usually tends to be dry on airlines, but this was flavorful and moist. I initially went with the ravioli, but then changed my mind last minute, and I'm glad I made the change. I was really happy with it and it left me satisfied. Lastly, for dessert, I decided to go with a simple cheese platter. This was good, can't really go wrong with a cheese plate. The different bed modes are controlled with the screen I showed you in the start of the video. This is the first setting of the seat, which is a recline mode. I was in this position for most of the flight except for takeoff and landing. If you hold the bed looking icon on the screen, is when you're able to turn it into bed mode. The seat goes fully flat and I was able to put the mattress pad on, which significantly improved the comfort. As soon as I was ready to go to bed, I got reminded that there were no individual air vents that I was talking about in the start of the video. The cabin was hot. I've been on flights where the cabin is slightly warm but manageable, but on this flight, I was sweating quite a bit when I was attempting to go to sleep. Either way, let's see how far I go before giving up on sleeping. Good morning. Understandably, I slept quite poorly. With the limited time we had left on the flight, as well as the warmness of the cabin, I might have gotten an hour of sleep in total. Before takeoff, I asked the cabin crew to wake me up for breakfast. They decided to just wake me up by saying breakfast, pulling my tray table out, and placing the cloth. I could barely process what had happened there. Either way, breakfast showed up and it was, well, disappointing to say the least. These were probably the worst eggs I've had on a plane. I attempted to have the egg but left it midway. This was such a poor breakfast by Air Canada, I'm not even sure I have words to describe it. Since I had no time to even brush before my food came, I took a look at the amenity kit right after the meal service was done. This amenity kit is a big departure from the older amenity kit Air Canada had, which was 10 times better. In the amenity kit, you had socks, eye shades, creams, earplugs, dental kit, and a glasses cleaner. This was a good amenity kit, but the quality of the bag was just so mediocre. Eventually, we were starting our descent into Frankfurt. So what are my thoughts on Air Canada? Was I disappointed? Was I impressed? Well, I wasn't disappointed, but that's just because I didn't expect Air Canada to be competing with the Middle East airlines anytime soon. But at the same time, I'm not leaving this flight feeling like I want to fly an Air Canada business class flight again. This is probably my first and probably last time I'll ever get to experience Air Canada Signature Class to its full potential. The ground experience at Pearson was great. There's a separate closed off area for premium passengers to check in, Pearson is easy to navigate, and the Signature Class lounge was quite impressive. The exclusivity that you get in that lounge is almost unmatched with any North American carriers. The seat on this A330 is quite impressive as well. The seat was comfortable and had a massaging function, but that is where the positivity kinda ends. The soft product is where Air Canada needs to get it together. I paid $1,100 for this flight. That's not a small amount, and I would probably not pay that again to fly on Air Canada's Signature Class. The service and food just does not match the price tag. Don't get me wrong, the fish was great, but the rest was mediocre at best. Service looked like they all hated their jobs and they were only there because they had to be. While the seat itself was comfortable, the amount of space in the seat was tight. This might be a controversial take, but I felt like I had more room in an Emirates 777 business class seat over this seat. As most North American carriers, this is just not at the level that it needs to be at. I would argue that you would be much happier sitting in Air France to get to Europe rather than doing the same routing with Air Canada. Anyways, thank you for coming to my rant session. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe if you did. I know this video was a bit longer and we haven't posted in a while, but I appreciate you staying till the end. There are a lot of exciting videos coming up. Let me know what your thoughts were on this flight, and I'll see you in the next one.